Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video, I wanted to talk about the exciting people that have the natal aspect Mars conjunct Uranus in the birth chart. So, this aspect is very noticeable in people. Actually, all of the Mars Uranus aspects are, but this one is going to be the strongest. The conjunction is always that unifying energy. So we really get the punch of the Mars Uranus signature here. So you definitely really notice these people. They have a very strong energy that does not blend in. Okay. So what you'll notice, like what if you're out and about with them or if you're with them, you'll notice that other people like take note of you. It's like these people attract a lot of attention. And so if you're someone with this aspect, it's like you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything without causing some sort of ruckus somewhere or stirring up some people. And sometimes it'll be very positively, like people will be like, really mesmerized by your energy and wanting something to do with you. And other times you're going to evoke anger and rage for seemingly no reason. People really react strongly to people that have this Mars Uranus aspect in the natal chart. And there can also be some jealousy because, when this aspect is manifesting positively and coming from a more evolved soul, there's actually a very high degree of like spiritual attunement and manifestation power, where these people have this personal power, this drive, this ability to bring thought forms into reality, to bring their highest vision to life. So they end up, really causing a lot of jealousy. Like, for example, this is the person that rolls up to the event in their, bright red sports car that's like, so expensive or so fancy, and then like they're just like, they just pull in and like maybe they cut someone off on the way there, so someone's giving them the finger, and then everybody else is like looking at them shocked, and then they're like the best dressed or they're the most charismatic person, and like they're just like that kind of energy, especially if it's like in Leo or another fire sign like Sagittarius or something, right? We've got this real like I don't give a F energy, and like also I want to go first, I'm going to be first, I'm going to be seen, I'm going to be the best. There can be a lot of competitiveness with this conjunction as well. So they're definitely not boring. Their life is go, 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 go from an early age. And, sometimes in certain souls that are, not on a spiritual path, it can just be constant busyness without any real purpose, which can end up being an energy drain or like a wasted life, because it's like if they're not on the evolved side, they're just constantly needing movement, needing action. This might be the teenager that starts fights, thinking of even like the archetype of like what we would consider toxic masculinity. You could see here with this conjunction where, just aggression and pure impulsive action for sometimes no reason at all, just to stir the pot, just to mess with someone else, right? We're not going to sugarcoat things. We're not going to have a lot of tact with this conjunction. That is something that needs to be learned. It's not something that comes naturally to people with this conjunction. They're going to say what they're thinking, they're going to say what they mean, and if it hurts your feelings, you're too sensitive, right? So, as positive as I believe this conjunction is, they definitely run into some trouble and stir up some drama and irritate people a lot. And they make as many enemies as they make friends. And sometimes it will just be because of sheer jealousy, because they are living and they are doing, all the things. And that saying, or there's a saying, people who talk the most about you are, they're not doing as much as you. And that's something that Someone with Mars Uranus conjunct could really adopt as a mindset as like, well, they're just talking about me because they're not doing as many things as me, and they're just jealous of me. And sometimes it for sure it is that. Now other times it is that the Mars conjunct Uranus person is needing to learn a little bit more tact and sensitivity to other people's feelings, especially if there's not a lot of water signs in the chart, or more Venus energy. This is the kind of person that is very offensive, for lack of a better word. They can be very offensive. They can be almost unable to relate to other people in an emotional sense. There can be emotional unavailability, like just, and also it's not that they really care about relating to people in an emotional sense. They would rather be out in the action, right? So some of the like classic descriptions of this aspect will be like you're into race car driving, or like flying planes. That's a Mars conjunct Uranus thing. Also Venus conjunct Uranus can be interested in that. They like to take risks. They enjoy that. That makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel like they're truly alive, riding their motorcycle, going super fast, getting involved in dangerous things, even in some cases fighting, physical fights, or like even sports. Sports is like the probably the best use of this energy and this competitiveness. So all of these things are favored. Now, in a woman, she can also be very athletic as well and have these same interests. But what it might end up manifesting as is that the type of man that she's sexually attracted to is going to have this kind of rebelliousness, right? Or he's the one doing all that stuff that we just talked about. Or even if he's not doing anything like that, she can still sometimes be attracted to the unavailable man. Sometimes she'll be attracted to men who have a fiery temper and are abusive. She's going to have a powerfully masculine energy in herself. So men and women both with Mars conjunct Uranus have a very masculine energy. And what I mean by that is that they have that directness, they have that action-oriented personality. They're go-getters. They're not waiting for life to come to them and the blessings to come to them. That's Venus. That's attraction. They're not, and they could have a strong Venus also, and then that would really help with this too, but they're more like, well, if I want something, I'm going to go out and get it. I'm going to initiate it. I'm going to make the first move. And women with this aspect also are like that. So they can be, more of a masculine woman, more of a career woman. They're kind of the boss. They're not going to be pushed around. They're not going to be, put in their place. Like they know their role. They know who they are. They're not going to be pushed around. But at the same time, they can attract a man who's also like that. So their relationships are intense because we've got two headstrong people, most likely, and nobody is going to back down. And that's actually common, men and women with this aspect, to attract a relationship that is very chaotic or very intense or very hot and cold. These are the kind of people that have flings like Venus conjunct Uranus, although different, because it's not that they actually prefer it that way, but they just end up there because of their impulsiveness. So you want to, if you have this conjunction, before, getting married or, making major romantic decisions, or sometimes your life decisions, though, you can be quick and make those decisions on the spot. But when it comes to romance and, sexuality and signing the contract of marriage or divorce, that's when you want to be a little bit slower with this conjunction. You want to really think about what you're doing, because you will react in anger. You will be prone to outbursts of temper. Sometimes people with these aspects can be violent or have violent tendencies or attract that. And so there's really a need to control the impulsiveness and take a few deep breaths before making those kind of decisions with this conjunction. And, is it really worth investing your energy into something like, before you do it? Really, like, is this worth my energy? Because you could end up getting involved in all sorts of things, and then that'll end up being an energy drain with this. You want to really focus with this conjunction, because this is a gift. This is a gift of like unlimited energy and authenticity that other people don't have because they're scared to be that real. Creativity, manifestation, like I said, they have manifestation power. And also, this ties in with the authenticity, but this real ability to like stand on their own, even if every single person in the entire world was like, you're wrong. The person with Mars conjunct Uranus would stand there and be like, I don't care. I don't care what you think. I think I'm right. And I'm going to keep going in this direction that I'm going, and you can all just screw off. And that's a gift. More people need that. That heals diseases. Because ultimately, repression of ourselves, repression of our true desires causes energy blockages and diseases and things like that. But the person with Mars conjunct Uranus will not have any of that. They are going to go their own way. Even if every single person in the entire world says they're wrong, they don't care. They're going to still do what they were going to do. Now, sometimes that can be a hindrance. That can be difficult for close relationships, because even if you're their wife or you're their husband, they still don't care what you have to say. So it can be difficult for close relationships that require compromise. That is one of the lessons that they're learning, is compromise. And like I said, tact and putting themselves in the other's shoes, right? They could do a bit more of that. But ultimately, there's nothing wrong with who they are. They've chosen to come into this lifetime being this kind of rebellious energy, this, strong leadership energy, this like immovable energy. They're meant to be on a leading pathway, on, the path of their own soul, the path of their own heart, the path of their desires, their passion. They're meant to live that out in this lifetime, and they need to be the way that they are to do that. So before you judge them and think, oh, they're so selfish, or they're so, not open to insight or anything like that, they do require to be that way to live out this mission that they've chosen for this lifetime. They're not meant to live a normal life. They're not meant to fit in the box, right? And you can't make them, and you shouldn't try. Okay? Not to say that they shouldn't do work on themselves either. That's not what I'm saying. But their path is different than others. It's not the straight line. Like, this is a lifetime of honoring the individual impulse, the Mars impulse to be and exist and fight and have like that voice that is strong and firm, and they're leaders. It's a big lifetime for them, and they often end up in positions of power, or fame or leadership, right? And they're not inherently, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not bad people. They just come off wrong sometimes because the world is not used to that level of inner freedom and authenticity. The world is not ready. It reminds me of in Back to the Future, that movie where Marty McFly like does that guitar solo like from the 80s style in the 50s, and then he's like, well, you guys just aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it. That's like kind of like what a person with Mars conjunct Uranus feels like. There's something in them that is ahead of their time. They don't fit into their upbringing. They don't fit into their family. They don't really fit into groups, or they're just kind of this outcast, but they like it. And hopefully they like it. They grow to like it with time and wisdom. They see that this is all a part of their purpose. This is an asset to living out the potential of the natal chart with this conjunction. It's a new beginning lifetime when you have a conjunction like this. So sexually, they're going to be also in a new beginning phase. They're not meant to have a normal love life or sexual life either. Not that they can't have that, but they will probably require at some point some experimentation with different types of relationships, different types of people. Like if they, when they were very young, had a relationship with someone, like they, in their lifetime, they might need to have the opposite type of relationship in order to grow and evolve. And also out of curiosity. They have a lot of curiosity about things in the sexual realm or in relationships. They want to know how differing types of people react and respond. They can end up actually being kind of a study of human nature. Like they do want to learn about people, but it's interesting. It's not in an emotional sense. That's what they need to kind of learn, is like they're not as emotionally in tune with people as they should, but they definitely mentally, intuitively have a curiosity about people. They're not an introverted person necessarily, unless this is happening in a very, sensitive water sign. But even in a water sign, they're not really an introverted person. They like to, figure people out and learn about people. And they're very curious about people and about sex and about relationships. And they know that they're here for something different. They know that they do have a problem being tied down. They do not like limits and restrictions, so they can sometimes not be the most faithful or best partners. They usually know that though, and they can attempt to work on that. And with the right person who's exciting enough and stimulating enough, then they can be more faithful. Yeah. What else? Did I mention the genius? Did I mention they're all geniuses as well, and they have this pure brilliance coursing through them and an ability to put that into action and make that into something constructive. They do lack patience though. So that will be another lifelong lesson, is learning how to be patient with other people and how to be patient with themselves. They'll want everything right away. They want it right now. They want to live out all of these amazing experiences right in the now, but they'll learn over time that some things take more consistent effort, and a strong Saturn will really help with that as well. So I'd love to know your experience of this aspect in the natal chart. If you have it, what has it been like for you? I'd love to know. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon.